When I was at the art store looking to buy some new graphite, a very special set jumped out to me. At first, I thought it was strange that on the package it was written watercolor graphite pencils, as I had never heard of such a thing before, but apparently Staedtler has a set of graphite pencils that turn into watercolors, which we will also try in this video. I'm very curious to see how these pencils react and how easy or hard they are to use. I'm going to get some water for these pencils and we'll get right to work. These pencils are a unique type of drawing tool created by Staedtler. These pencils are specifically designed to offer artists the flexibility of both traditional graphite drawing and also the ability to achieve watercolor effects. What sets these pencils apart is their water-soluble graphite lid. This means that the graphite can dissolve when it comes into contact with water, allowing you to create a wide range of effects. When used dry, the pencils function just like regular graphite pencils, enabling you to produce precise lines, shading, and detailing. However, when water is applied to the graphite marks made by the pencils, they can create a watercolor-like effect. By using a wet brush or adding water directly to the marks, you can manipulate the graphite on the paper, create washes, gradients, smudges, and soft blends. This opens up a whole new dimension of artistic possibilities, allowing to explore textures, tonal variations, and a more fluid and expressive style. These pencils are ideal for artists who enjoy the versatility of combining drawing and watercolor techniques in their artwork. Whether you prefer the control and precision of graphite or the spontaneous and flowing nature of watercolor, these pencils offer the convenience of having both options in a single tool. This set comes with 5 pencils and a medium brush. On the package, it is mentioned that there are 5 pencils. Out of the 5 pencils, 2 of them have a grade of 8B, 2 have a grade of 6B, and only 1 has a grade of 4B. The grading system for pencils is based on the hardness or softness of the graphite core. A higher grade, such as 8B, indicates a softer lid that leaves darker and smoother lines. On the other hand, a lower grade like 4B implies a slightly harder lid that produces slightly lighter and less smooth lines. The grades in between, such as 6B, falls in the middle of the spectrum. Each grade has its unique characteristics and applications. For instance, the 8B pencils can be used for creating bold and dark lines, while the 6B pencil can provide a good balance between darkness and control. The 4B pencil, being slightly harder, can be suitable for finer details or lighter shading. In addition to the pencils of different grades, the set also includes a medium-sized brush. A medium-sized brush typically refers to a brush that falls between small and large brushes in terms of its size and bristle length. When I created swatches with the 6B pencil, I found the experience to be quite enjoyable. The pencil felt smooth and responsive as I moved it across the paper, leaving behind bold and dark lines. The softness of the lid allowed for easy application, and I didn't have to apply too much pressure to achieve the desired effect. I appreciated the richness and intensity of the tones that the 6B pencil produced. It was satisfying to see how the graphite interacted with the paper, creating a range of values from lighter grays to deep blacks. This versatility in shading allowed me to add dimension and contrast to the swatch. I also found that the 6B pencil provided me with a sense of control and precision. I could easily vary the pressure and angle to create different textures and effects. Using the 4B pencil was similar to the previous one. It had a slightly harder lid compared to the softer grade, which allowed me to have better control over the lines and the strokes. I noticed that the 4B pencil produced a range of values, leaning towards the darker side while still maintaining a certain level of subtlety. The swatches had a distinct richness and depth, but not as intense as the darker grades. One thing that stood out was the pencil's ability to create interesting textures and details. The slightly harder lead allowed me to achieve finer lines and precise marks, making it suitable for adding intricate details. The 8B pencil impressed me by its softness and richness. As I applied the pencil to the paper, it glided smoothly and effortlessly, leaving behind bold and deeply pigmented lines. This pencil offered a unique intensity and darkness in my swatches. The rich velvety black tones created a striking contrast against the paper, adding depth and drama. The pencil's softness allowed for easy coverage and bold strokes, providing a sense of boldness and impact. The 8B pencil is great to create very dark textures and shading. With the slightest variation in the pressure, I could achieve a wide range of values from deep shadows to subtle gradations. This versatility will allow me to add dimension and create captivating visual effects in my future artworks. From the moment I added water to the swatch created with a 6B pencil, it was an exciting moment of exploration and creativity. The rich and dark lines I had initially drawn with the 6B pencil started to blend and dissolve as the water made contact with the graphite. As the water interacted with the graphite, I observed how it activated the pigments and transformed them into beautiful washes and gradients. The softness of the 6B pencil allowed the graphite to easily mix with the water, creating smooth transitions and subtle variations in tone. The watercolor effect brought a new dimension to the swatch, adding a sense of fluidity and transparency. The intense dark tones of the 6B pencil transformed into a range of grays and muted hues. As the water touched the lines and shading made with the 4B pencil, I noticed a subtle transformation taking place. The graphite pigments began to blend and disperse, creating soft and delicate washes of gray tones. The slightly harder lead of the 4B pencil allowed for more controlled diffusion of the graphite particles. The watercolor effect added a gentle translucency and depth to the swatch. The result of this pencil wasn't as intense as with the softer grades, but they had a unique subtlety and charm. The graphite and water blended great, resulting in nuanced variation in tone and texture. The experience with the 8B pencil was quite similar with the 6B one, but it was still a truly remarkable moment. The intense black lines and shading suddenly came alive as the water activated the graphite and transformed it into a watercolor-like medium. As the water touched the graphite, I could see the rich pigments spreading and dissolving, creating beautiful washes and gradients on the paper. The velvety darkness of the graphite combined with the water, resulting in soft and subtle transitions between different tones. It was mesmerizing to observe the transformation as the deep blacks turned into a range of grays. The watercolor effect allowed me to explore blending techniques as the water seamlessly mixed the pigments and created captivating textures. I could achieve both smooth and textured effects by controlling the amount of water and manipulating the graphite on the paper. After I applied water to the swatch created with the 4B pencil and witnessed its transformation into watercolor, I decided to explore further by adding another layer of pencil over the watercolor. As I started to apply the additional pencil layer, I noticed how the watercolor acted as a base, providing a unique textured surface to work on. The pencil effortlessly glided over the watercolor, interacting with the paper and the remaining graphite pigments. The pencil strokes on top of the watercolor revealed an interesting interplay between the new layer and the underlying watercolor washes. The combination of the watercolor washes and the new pencil strokes added depth and complexity to the swatch. The graphite pigments interacted with the remaining moisture from the water, blending and merging with the underlayer, resulting in unique variations and textures. As I began to apply the additional pencil layer, I could feel the texture of the watercolor underneath. The soft lid of the 6B pencil effortlessly glided over the surface, allowing me to build upon the existing tones and shapes. I noticed that the interaction between the new pencil layer and the watercolor created a captivating combination of depth and texture. The watercolor provided the base with subtle gradients and variations, while the additional pencil strokes added definition and emphasized certain areas. It was fascinating to see how the graphite interacted with the remaining moisture, blending and merging with the underlayer. This process allowed me to enhance the tonal values, add finer details, and create a sense of depth in the swatch. The same process, but using the 8B pencil, was similar to the previous layers in terms of techniques and process. However, the 8B pencil brought a distinct difference as it was darker in tone compared to the previous pencils. Similar to the previous layers, these pencils effortlessly glided over the watercolor surface, allowing for smooth application. The softness of the graphite enabled blending and shading, allowing me to further refine the values and to add depth. As the 8B pencil is a darker grade, it intensified the richness of the dark tones. The additional layer of the 8B pencil created deeper shadows and more pronounced contrast against the watercolor washes. Each pencil, with its unique characteristics and graphite grades, brought a different dimension to the swatch. The 6B pencil offered a balance between darkness and control, allowing for smooth shading and subtle variations in tone. The 4B pencil provided a delicate touch, allowing for controlled diffusion and creating gentle washes of graphite. The 8B pencil brought a darker and more dramatic quality, adding depth and intensity to the watercolor swatch. Before I decided to try to erase the 6B swatch of the watercolor and the additional pencil layer, I was initially hesitant, wondering if it would be possible to remove the marks without damaging the paper or affecting the underlying layers. However, to my relief, the Tombow Mono Zero Eraser proved to be a reliable tool for the task. The precision and fine tip of the eraser allowed me to target specific areas with accuracy. As I gently applied the eraser to the paper, I noticed that the watercolor and the pencil marks gradually lifted off, leaving behind a clean surface. The eraser effectively removed the pigments without smudging or leaving too much residue. The erasing process was surprisingly smooth, as I was able to adjust the pressure and control the level of erasure to achieve the desired result. It was reassuring to see how the eraser effortlessly erased the watercolor and the additional layer, which is great because it will allow me to correct and refine my artworks in the future without any major issues. Similar to the previous attempt, the eraser smoothly erased the watercolor and pencil marks, leaving behind again a clean surface. I was pleased to see that the eraser maintained its performance, successfully removing the 8B swatch and the layer on top of it without smudging or compromising the integrity of the swatch. It showed me again that it is a reliable tool for making adjustments and corrections. Now, it's finally time to put all of the previous techniques and materials to the test on a full drawing of a ladybird. I'm both excited and also a little nervous to see how the combination of pencils and water will come together to create a beautiful artwork. Because one medium brush wasn't enough for me, I decided to use a set of brushes I already had from when I was using watercolors. They are several sizes, and I will need mostly the smallest ones for all the intricate and small details. I started by carefully applying the 4B pencil to the paper, taking my time to capture the delicate details and patterns of the branch. The softness of the pencil allowed me for smooth and effortless strokes, enabling me to create gentle shading and subtle variations in tone. The graphite effortlessly glided across the paper, creating a solid foundation for the watercolor effect. Once the initial layer was in place, I introduced the water to the graphite marks. As the water came into contact with the pencil lines, it transformed them. The graphite dissolved and dispersed within the water, creating beautiful washes. The water seamlessly blended the graphite particles, resulting in a range of beautiful gray shades that added a sense of depth to the branch's form. Next, I proceeded to apply a second layer of graphite using the 8B pencil. The darker and richer tones of this pencil helped me to achieve a greater sense of depth and contrast. I carefully shaded, adding lines and shadowed areas to convey the intricate texture and complexity of the branch. As before, I applied the water to the graphite marks, eager to witness again the transformation into watercolor. As the water delicately interacted with the 8B pencil, it was again magical for me. The pencil marks dissolved, combining with the water to create even more beautiful washes of slightly dark tones. The water and the pencil combined beautifully again, creating a captivating watercolor effect. The experience of adding the third layer was very similar to the previous layers, because I used the same techniques. I used the same 8B pencil and followed a familiar process. However, this time, the result was even more stunning. With each stroke of the pencil, the branch gradually became darker and gained more depth. I applied varying pressure and carefully observed the interplay between the light and the shadow. The softness of the 8B pencil allowed me to achieve rich, velvety textures that brought the branch to life. This third layer created even more intensity, enhancing the shadows and adding a sense of realism. The washes of the dark tones deepened the overall appearance, creating a striking contrast against the lighter areas of the branch. The process of layering the graphite and then applying water became almost instinctual at this point. I focused on maintaining the same level of precision and attention to detail, ensuring that each stroke added depth and complexity to the artwork. The result was a beautifully rendered branch with a multitude of shades and a captivating sense of dimension. Creating the Ladybird was an incredible and rewarding experience. Working with the graphite watercolor pencils allowed me to focus on the intricate details and bring the artwork to life through contrast rather than relying on colors. With each layer of pencil and watercolor, the Ladybird gradually emerged on the paper. The black and white nature of the art heightened the importance of contrast, adding depth and dimension to the piece. I carefully built up the layers, paying close attention to the interplay of light and shadow. The graphite watercolor pencils provided a versatile medium for creating texture and shading. I used varying pressure to achieve different tonal values, ensuring that the Ladybird's body had a range of shades from darkest blacks to the subtlest grays. This allowed me to capture the intricate patterns and details, giving the Ladybird a realistic and captivating appearance. As I applied water to the graphite marks, the transformation was mesmerizing. The pencil strokes dissolved and blended, creating soft washes and gradients that added a sense of depth and movement to the artwork. With each layer, the Ladybird took on more depth and personality. I carefully observed the details, refining and adding fine lines to capture the delicate features of its body. The contrast between the black and white elements intensified, creating a visually striking composition. Working in black and white allowed me to focus more on the play of light and shadow and highlighting the intricate textures and patterns. It gave me the chance to appreciate the beauty and intricacy of the Ladybird's form without the distraction of color. Overall, creating the Ladybird in black and white allowed me to focus on the contrast and bring out the essence of the subject. It was a captivating process, and with each layer of pencil and watercolor, the Ladybird came to life, showcasing its beauty in a unique and striking way. And there it is. I hope this video has been useful and insightful for you. Please don't forget to like my video, comment if you have any questions or suggestions, and subscribe if you want to see more art-related content. Keep creating and never stop chasing your artistic dreams. Thank you for tuning in, and I'm going to see you in the next video as well. Bye!